So my name's Khalid, I'm CEO of Bahrain Fintech Bay. I've spent the majority of my life between the UK and Bahrain, both professionally and in my youth. Really cut my teeth in London in the investment banking world at the height of the financial crisis, so you could say I'm used to a challenge. I've gravitated towards roles that were either in the investment banking space, but also in roles that sit between technology and the business. So when this opportunity arose to be part of a founding team to really develop a fintech ecosystem in Bahrain, it was a no-brainer for me to move back and to really be part of this exciting journey. I think it's difficult to put a number on it for a number of reasons, but what I can say is that today we have around 100 fintechs active in Bahrain, around 200 plus startups in the broader technology field. A lot of them are young companies, so each one employs between 5 to 10 people, but we do have some larger scale companies that are, employ 150, 200, 300 people at a time, typically mostly Bahrainis as well. But if you look at the industry at large, or the ecosystem, really you've got to look at not just individuals or entrepreneurs employed within fintech, but also those involved in corporate fintech solutions, or government entities looking at fintech, VCs, and the whole kind of plethora of different roles. So it's hard to put a number on it, but I would say it's in the thousands in Bahrain if you were to capture all the stakeholders that are involved in the ecosystem. So our broad mandate was to establish a fintech hub to really attract best-in-class technology from all over the world, whilst also developing our local digital economy as part of a national agenda. BFB was formed in partnership with government and strategic industry partners such as the local banks, international banks, telecommunication companies, insurance companies, asset managers, really with all the intention to build this inclusive platform together. So we distill our vision into 6 or 7 key kind of macro themes: incubation, acceleration, talent and education, investment, awareness, which involves research, thought leadership, conferences and events, and obviously corporate innovation and advisory. Well, without going into specific names, I think there have been a lot of partnerships that have been born out of BFB and our specific incubation services, whether that be corporates looking to engage with fintechs, fintechs partnering up with each other. Actually, we've seen that. We've also seen academia partner up with some technology providers as well. So it's been a host of or an array of partnerships, and really our job is to facilitate these meaningful interactions. So we actually launched a whole new series of cohort-based acceleration programs. Simultaneously, we wrapped it under the umbrella of a new strategy called Innovate for Bahrain. And this, of course, was at the beginning of the pandemic. So the purpose of the Innovate for Bahrain strategy was really to enable local entrepreneurs and to provide a platform for them to develop solutions for the kingdom and for the region. We kicked off, I guess, the series with our first acceleration program, which was actually fully virtual, the first in the kingdom, where we brought Standard Chartered's global Women in Tech program focused on female entrepreneurship. We localized that for the kingdom, where we offered mentorship, support, prize money, as well as follow-on incubation. It was tremendously successful, and our last program that we've actually just completed now was with the National Bank of Bahrain, and that was actually focused on youth. So we brought all the students from universities from around Bahrain to develop solutions specifically for NBB's new banking application. And we actually presented those solutions at Expo as well. So that was, again, another fantastic program. We've run 6 of these so far, and we plan on doing a lot more. Our National FinTech Talent Program as well, delivered in partnership with Temkeen and Georgetown McDonald School of Business, where we took young Bahraini fresh graduates, and we enrolled them as part of this professional course, but also supplemented it with internships with startups in the fintech space, but also corporates looking at digitalization or fintech innovation. And for the best performing candidates there, we actually sent them to Singapore for 6 weeks or San Francisco. So we actually launched our own program during during the beginning of the pandemic under the strategy that I mentioned earlier, and that we were quite proud to have partnered with US State Department on that under their MEPI, or Middle East Partnership Initiative. So we designed a program called Build for Bahrain that was purely for local Bahrainis, and we focused on three key areas, which were community, health, and business continuity. Again, tremendously successful. We were, broadening our horizons from then, looking at health tech, ed techs, as well as fintechs, on how we can assist economic recovery that was undoubtedly going to have an impact on the kingdom. I think, by and large, what the pandemic has emphasized is that we need to embrace change quickly, and we need to deliver services in a more efficient manner. So we of course worked with government and corporates as well on launching some of these types of solutions to ensure that business continues during a time where we couldn't meet physically. Fintech, by and large, has, I think, enabled businesses to secure cash flow, to secure their operations, and give them that. Without the technology provided by fintech, would be tremendously hard to do, especially in a time where we couldn't physically meet each other. So we've seen a lot of good outcomes of the pandemic. No, there are a few, but definitely for ourselves, I think it just highlighted the role of fintech and how important it is and how ingrained it can be in not just our lives, but in industry and government as well. We launched back in 2018 in strategic partnership with the Economic Development Board, and it was really high up on their agenda, as well as of course the central banks, to look at fintech seriously. So this was the first concerted effort where us as a platform was created in partnership with the EDB to bring industry together, to bring government, and really to push to drive forward our ecosystem. Of course, the Economic Development Board have a broad partnership network across the world, and we definitely look to collaborate on initiatives that can tap into those partnerships, as well as attracting as well some of the best-in-class fintechs that we see on our travels. We have a strong workforce, tremendously entrepreneurial spirit that I can see in them. And I think there's going to be plenty, and there are plenty of opportunities for young Bahrainis to enter the field of fintech, whether that be the influx of startups coming into the country, whether it be locally born startups. But of course, this talent needs nurturing, and they require guidance and best practices, which is where some of our incubation and acceleration programs come into play as well. But I think the opportunities are going to be even more widespread for Bahraini youth, and it's clear that fintechs coming into the country as well as corporates are hiring locally en masse. So there is a value proposition for the country, and it's for young Bahrainis to take advantage of that. For sure, there's scope for improvement, for more specialized courses. We are starting to see some universities come out with more specialized courses in artificial intelligence or broader fintech, but I think they're in a very privileged position. I think they can really determine the outcome of the specializations in our workforce. With that being said, I think there's an opportunity for us to specialize in more technical related fields like artificial intelligence, data science, blockchain, software development, that can only strengthen our kind of proposition. But really, that education can start at a fundamental level, even earlier than universities. It can start in the schools. So obviously, it's something that we're passionate about at BFB in providing fintech education, and we do collaborate with universities, whether it be on our programs, whether it be going in and briefing the students about this new industry. And I guess finally, there's a broader school of thought. If you look at entrepreneurship and how to build a business, how to grow a business, startups are generally considered riskier career paths, but in the long term, I think the rewards and the experience are invaluable. we want to go into broader technology themes and deeper in our existing fintech verticals. One project that is coming up is born out of our partnership with the Real Estate Regulatory Authority, so stay tuned for announcements on that. Looking to develop PropTech in Bahrain. In addition, the scope of our services and our partnership network, we're looking to broaden more regionally and internationally now. And for us, it's really about capitalizing on all the good work we've done, but remaining relevant and at the forefront of fintech and the new use cases and applications that we'll see. Ultimately, when you look at crypto exchanges and the projects or coins that they list, it's on the investors, or whether that be mass retail or sophisticated investors, it's on them to really do the due diligence to understand these type of projects, understand the risks and rewards as well, particularly in DeFi when it comes to now these more complex, should we call them, financial instruments or emulating a financial instrument. Investors really need to understand that it's not just a case of your money is safe. Money's always at risk, depending on the opportunity. But from ourselves, of course, we coordinate a lot with the government and with industry as well. So if, for example, there is a player in the market that we are aware of, we of course will make the community known of that. For example, if it's a malicious type of character or so on. But in general, the central bank, I think, do a good job of weeding out those type of risks. With that being said, of course, we all need to keep our eyes open. Initially, there was resistance, not just from central banks, but also from the banks themselves, to even offer those type of products to their clients. As investor sentiment changed towards cryptocurrencies and so on, obviously it's an opportunity for banks, and not just banks, but anyone offering trading capabilities or any type of investment opportunities to their clients, to look at crypto as a legitimate alternative asset class. Although it needs to be an asset class on its own, I don't think it can be categorized as foreign exchange or commodity or anything that currently exists. It needs to be treated in its own right. But even when it comes to blockchain, we're only now starting to see, I guess, the use cases and the applications of blockchain being applied in banking. So when you look at, for example, JP Morgan, or you look at some of the larger banks across the world, they're now testing, facilitating cross-border trade using blockchain or using their own native protocols. So when it comes to DeFi applications, that is essentially removing the financial system from being an intermediary, bridging it comes in the form of what we see now in the centralized exchanges. But that's not to say that eventually it won't shift to DeFi. Banking maybe may play a role when it comes to underpinning the new types of projects that are being deployed on DeFi, because it's obviously not specific to the financial service industry. It's also, there are NFTs for gaming, for sports, for art, and a lot of those clients are existing banking clients. So I think somehow there can be a bridge between that when it comes to relationships to begin with, but actually incorporating it into the banking system, of course, will be down to the regulators and how that will look going forward.